Matthew, it's a very, very good question. Obviously, as a coaching staff, we've looked collectively and also individually in terms of different departments in terms of what we can fix. I think if you look at the game overall, I think there was really some good outcomes, especially in the first half, in terms of our tactical and technical execution. Obviously, we couldn't proceed with that in the second half. So obviously, the first things first is that we have to look for an 80 minutes performance in our next game. We identified different areas in terms of our kicking game, our discipline, also in terms of better execution, in terms of our set pieces, and then better decision making, things that I think we are able to fix. And we had a thorough and a collective discussion with that amongst ourselves as coaching staff and also with the players. And I think we're looking forward to this week to ensure that we correct those mistakes.
Deon, can we just explore the set piece? I mean, clearly a tactic from the Lions not to kick the ball out. The Maul, such a regular launch pad for the Springboks, you hardly got an opportunity. And when you did, it was dealt with.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Lions were very smart in terms of not giving us lineouts, ensuring that we had to field high balls and then put us under pressure. Obviously, in terms of our exit plays, I think when we had lineouts, it's one thing from a lineout perspective, winning the ball, but ensuring that you provide a solid platform and ensuring that you give good delivery. So that is an area of aspect that we can improve on. So yeah, we didn't get a lot of attacking options. We hopefully we will work to be in a better position in terms of that. But then also obviously very important, whether it's a scrum or a set piece within our own half, we have to ensure that our execution is exceptional in order to give us territory advantage and to apply pressure on the opposition.
Yeah, and notwithstanding the second half performance, can we just explore how important it was for a number of players to get 60 to 80 minutes of test match rugby at that level of intensity, given the disruption to preparation and the lack of game time?
No, definitely. I think, and it's not to make excuses, but if you go back and you look at the amount of minutes that the players that played have actually played, and also in terms of how many games we actually had to properly prepare for this test match in relation to the 5 games preparation and also the other competitions that the Lions players have played in, that it actually, at the end of the day, it does play an important role. I mean, match fitness is absolutely important in order to execute your plans at a high intensity and with accuracy on this level. So yeah, once again, I think definitely that was a factor, but it's important. You must actually sort of tap the players on their shoulder in terms of what they brought over those minutes that they were on the field, the intensity and the physicality that they played with in the first half and for the long periods of the game, and then actually losing the game actually so narrowly despite that. So yeah, definitely I think a great effort from the guys despite all the challenges that we had.
And final one from me, Deon. Jacques spoke last week in naming the side about the incredible depth available in the front row. It certainly looked like a premeditated decision to have the starting front row for 40 and the bench front row for 40. Would you do things differently if you had it again, given the performance that the starting front row gave in the first 40 minutes?
No, I think I'm not sure whether that was a premeditated decision on its own. I think first of all, congratulations to Ox and the starting front row Munambi and Trevor in terms of their performance in that first half. I think it was exceptional. Obviously, at halftime, through the medical staff and the conditioning staff, there were a few niggles. Ox had a neck injury, complained about a neck niggle. I think Bongi complained about a hamstring injury. And I think with all those things in mind, the coaching staff made a decision in terms of what's the best thing to do in that specific situation. I think based on the performance of the front row and how they really emptied their tank and put everything on the field in that first half, we would have liked to continue with them in terms of that. But circumstances at the end of the day led to us making that decision, and I think it was the right decision at that specific time.
Thank you, Deon. Thank you, Rayon. If I could return later for Afrikaans. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Matthew Pierce of SuperSport. And we're going to move on swiftly. Good morning, Nathan. You're up next.
Good morning, Ray. I'm Coach Deon. This is Nathan speaking. Matthew mentioned the work-ons and what needs to be fixed. Sticking to the forwards department, will we be expecting any personnel changes for this weekend's fixture? Then the last part of the question, please do give us a broad review of both front row pairs' performance as you had roughly 36 hours to analyze the game.
Just your first things first. I think we're still in the period 48 hours after the game to assess all the injuries and looking at the possibilities in terms of this week. Obviously, it's continuity and in our performance and in our selection is an important thing. So that will be obviously big considerations. But obviously also we will look in terms of where can we be better and have to assess it against the background in terms of assessing our systems, our skills, and also the effort of the players. Based on that, obviously, we will then collectively make a decision in terms of what is the important thing for this what is the important thing for this week, and what players will fit that scenarios the best. Obviously, in terms of our front row, we know that we have world-class players in the front row. I mean, Steven Kutsoff, Frans Malherbe, and Malcolm Marx have all been phenomenally in the World Cup and in the games that they've played. We know what contributions they can bring from the bench. Obviously, they were also challenged in the past few weeks, looking back with COVID-19 and had to adapt in terms of their preparation. Just also, if you look at Oxlade, Trevor Nyakane and Bongi and Munambi, overall, I think all 6 of them are world-class players, and a new guy like Ox coming in doing so exceptionally well. It shows the depth that we have in those positions, and I think going forward where we are now, it's going to be important that we ensure that all of them are involved and get that game time behind them in order to excel and contribute to what better performance for our team.
Thank you, Coach Deon, and we welcome Ken Borland.
Thanks, Rayon. Morning, Deon and Stephen. Deon, the Springboks obviously looked in control of the first half, and then in the second half that obviously turned around. There's obviously a lot of focus on the kicking game, putting the Springboks under pressure in the second half. But where does the forward effort factor into that? Does it start up front that then allows the Lions to execute their kicking game to put you guys under pressure?
Yeah, obviously, I mean, you gotta have a solid base in the lineouts, in the scrums, because if you have that solid base, it allows you to execute better. It puts you on the front foot. You can play towards your plan. If one things go wrong, it influences the kick, it influences the attack, and obviously it influences then your energy expenditure in terms of how you execute stuff. So everything has got a ripple effect. So from a set piece point of view, as I said, it's important that we provide a solid base, a solid platform, The Lions did challenge us in those specific areas. They whether it's legal or illegal, they're streetwise in terms of what they do there. We just from our point of view have to handle it better, have to make better plans, come up with solutions in order to how to improve in terms of that. Those are obviously things that we look at, and from there on, I mean individually and as a collective, we will try to be better in different areas.
Thank you, Deon. Good morning, Craig Ray.
Good morning, Ryan. Good morning, Deon and Stephen. Deon, just the South Africa A, both games and the first test, South Africa lost the second half. And that's for fairly obvious reasons. You've mentioned conditioning and so on due to COVID setbacks. But what can you do about conditioning in a week between tests, given that you haven't really had a base to work from, as you would in a normal season? So what I'm saying is your tactic to look at some other way. You can't really get that much fitter in 5 days, can you? Will the approach be to improve other aspects, mental and technical, rather than conditioning in the short turnaround?
No, obviously, I think the minutes played and the way we handle ourselves in this game obviously is a positive for us in terms of being involved in a very tight and intense and physical game. Obviously, we have to be we can be better in terms of our execution. We can be smarter, and obviously if we do those areas, obviously we put ourselves in a better position, and that can help us to get into better places on the field. And if we use our opportunities better, that can also create more opportunities for us and can assist us in terms of getting a better result.
Thank you.
Thanks, Deon. And we say good morning to Nick Heath.
Good morning. Thanks, Rayan. Deon, 11 penalties conceded by the Springboks forwards compared to the Lions 5. It's over double in terms of discipline. How damaging has that been, do you think, in reviewing the performance, and is a week long enough to turn that around and iron those out?
Now, our discipline, I think, obviously we took a hard look at the penalties that we've conceded. We're disappointed in the sense that we've conceded so much penalties, especially in the second half. Obviously, it's also important to have a clear picture in terms of whether we were at fault or whether it might be a 50-50 or tight decisions in terms of that. So obviously, once you assess that and have a clear picture in terms of that, you want to improve and take accountability towards that. I think the players at this level is professional and experienced enough to understand that ill discipline will cost you games. And whether it was an individual mistake or whether it was a collective mistake that contributed towards that, that is things that we will definitely clarify and ensure that we improve in terms of that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Will. And Brendan Nell, you up next?
Yes. Morning, Deon. Morning, Stephen. Deon, just on the stats say that you guys only had 4 lineouts in that entire game. Just how much of a disruption was it to your plans? The fact that you guys didn't have that basis of having that rolling maul or having your lineouts to set up your plays. That's the first question. And the second question is, there was obviously quite a bit of controversy with some of the calls on Saturday. We've seen Rassie retweet some interesting calls as well. Just your thoughts on the officials, and will you be discussing that with the refs on this week when you're meeting with them?
Yeah, Brendan, obviously part of our build-up to a game is always to have clear discussions to the referee about interpretations in certain areas of the game, which we did and which we will always do. I think that is important in order to get the fluency and clarity in terms of our preparation and what we want to achieve in the game. So I think that is part of the build-up. And then secondly, obviously, yes, you want to play from a good set piece. You plan to make plans in the opposition half in order to outsmart them. And obviously, if you don't get that opportunity, it just leaves you with unstructured attack. from turnover balls or from scraps, as we call it. So yeah, it's not ideal to have that. I don't know if 4 lineouts in a test match it's a new world record. You will ever get that, but that happened in this game. I just think that we maybe could have used the opportunities that we had from that better. That is something that we look at, but yeah, it does have an influence.
Okay, we'll go on to Will Kelleher.
Hi, if I could have 2 questions, please. The first one for Deon, just following up from Brendan's question about Razi's tweets. What do you make of those? I mean, it's quite rare in rugby that you see a director of rugby criticising refereeing decisions on social media. What do you make of that?
Sorry, but I'm completely unaware of any social media comments. I'm not on social media. From the start, you can understand if you lose a specific game as an assistant coach, it becomes very important that you zoom into your specific area and make a contribution in terms of the technical and tactical plans going forward for the team. So that is at the stage where my focus was and still is. So I'm totally unaware about the tweets that you talk about.
Morning, thanks Ray. Deon, you mentioned earlier there were a couple of injury niggles at halftime. Anything to worry about? Do you have a full squad available for selection this week?
The medical staff is still assessing the players, and I think during the day tomorrow we will get more clarity on who's available and who's not. Currently, we approach the game as if everyone is available, but as I said, we will have more clarity as we later on in the day tomorrow.